Why are we here? He sounds like Phil Arnold, huh? Defense, yeah. Defense, I can't stress how important defense is. Defense wins championships. You've heard that a million times. I think that proves that it does. But I think to really understand defense, you kind of have to start off and understand the history of the sport a little bit, and understand why that successful players do what they do on the table. Why does this stuff work, right? So, and this is going to be very open forum. So I want you guys to ask questions, right? Please, there's no such thing as a stupid question, right? So if you feel like there's something that I'm missing or just going right over your head, just tell me, and I'll do my best to break it down. So we play a pretty, lovely, beautiful, amazing game that we have broken down in so many different facets, both offensively and defensively, and it actually becomes exponentially complex when we do that. I think the key to defense is actually quite opposite, and it's actually to break it down and make it very, very simple. Let's be honest, we have less time to react to a shot hit on us than a baseball player does on a 90 or 100 mile per hour fastball. We have less time to react. Now, I know it's 3 dimensions. I'm not taking anything away from baseball. I love baseball. One of my favorite sports. But we have less time to react than those guys. So if you sit there and you try to have this massive analytical program that has your body, your brain has to process all these different things, you're going to get fooled, or you're not going to react quick enough. It's got to be a very simple formula. And for me, it's all about creating that foundation. You create a strong foundation defensively, you can build off of that. Okay? You can always fall back on that foundation, and that's what's so important. So again, let's talk about air hockey. So this is my pathetically drawn air hockey table here on the board. Okay? It's very similar, right? Very similar. So you've got, let me look this thing. All right. So you've got a goal here, you got a defender here, and you got your puck here, right? So this puck, the whole point of it is to be shot into the goal, right? Quickest, easiest shot in air hockey. Most deadliest and the fastest is going to be the shortest distance, which is a straight shot, right? So basically, it comes straight down the middle, right? Until a defender gets in the way. All right, so there's your quickest, fastest, most powerful shot in air hockey. How many of you guys know guys that shoot right down the middle of the goal? Nobody, right? That's right, because pretty much this guy came. Let's use a different color. So here's the mallet. All right, so that's now blocking that particular shot. Okay, so here I am. I'm on offense. I'm trying to hit this puck past this mallet, the defender. So what's the next, obvious kind of course of action? Because unlike soccer, right, we have the rails that we can use, right, banks, right? So the next thing, if I'm right here, well, let's try a bank shot. So that's your classical, from a offensive perspective, the right wall 100, right? So in fact, at this point in the evolution of the sport, right, it's just right wall. It's a right bank. Right bank. Unders and overs is kind of like the next step, right? But it's easy for us to just automatically say unders and overs because that's what we've all kind of been brought up to. But we need to understand the evolution of it, like understand how that concept developed, right? So now here I am. I got my mallet here. He's banking behind me. So now, what do I need to do with the mallet? Right? The next kind of basic thing was, I'm bringing it back. So now I put the mallet right here. So now, he's taking away that bank shot. Well, here we go with the whole, rock, paper, scissors, hands, right? So the offense now evolves. Offense now says, you know what? He's there. I'm going to angle my straight. Right? So now here comes what now we've all kind of realized, kind of that power straight. So we're actually aiming for either this side or this side of the goal. Not in the middle, but we're changing it up. So all of this is good stuff, right? This is how offense and defense, they push each other to evolve, and that's literally what the sport's done over the last, getting close to 50 years, or actually over 50 years. 50 years of evolution, right? And can't even imagine where this is going to go in another 100, 200 years. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So I'll be watching. Just let everybody know. All right, so now these basic concepts, I can now hit either side on the straights. Use the red again. All right, so I'm going there, I'm going there. All right, so my mallet, now to take away both those shots, what do I need to do? You can answer that question for a while. Yeah, go on up, right? So how do I go up? Just move up. Simple, right? But we're not talking about charging, right? We're not talking about charging. No charging. Okay? That's an illness. We'll talk about that illness here a little bit later. All right? But so here we go. So here's my mallet, right? And now, when that puck comes here, it's actually going to hit the side of this mallet. And now I can't hit any of the straight shots. This is the exact same thing that you watch a one-on-one situation between a goalie in soccer and a forward, and that forward broke loose. What does that goalie do? He charges towards that forward because it takes away his angles to hit both sides of that goal. And there's no difference. So it's just basic geometry. So here's the beauty again of air hockey, right? We now have, again, back to the bank shot. So you have to hit the bank in order to get past that defense right there, right? So, but I don't want to give up those straights. If I give up those straights, well, and I pull back, it just opens right back up. So it's just that, rock, paper, scissors. Who's going to do it, right? So it's that constant back and forth. So, but these are the basic foundations, the principles that these defenses have, kind of been created for. So this is where I think Tim is the innovator, as far as I'm concerned, the triangle or pyramid defense. So I'm here and I'm taking away those straights, and now I can move back to here or here, which creates that triangle, okay, or that pyramid defense. Right? So if I'm gonna stay out if it's straight, take away both those straights, or I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna block the under, or I'm gonna go back, block the other under, right? So either side, based on where it's gonna go. My defense will be there to block it. In theory, it's perfect, right? So here comes like offense again, evolving, right? We haven't even talked about releases. We haven't talked about speed of shot. We haven't talked about all that stuff. Okay? Because I'm going to prove to you guys it's irrelevant. In the grand scheme of defense, all that stuff is irrelevant. You got to do it on offense because you got to try to trick somebody. But typically, if you play correctly, if you play with a really strong defense, if somebody scores on you, it's because you made a mental error. And yeah, they could have had the most beautiful setup. It was awesome, but you weren't where you needed to be. So here we go. So now I'm coming here, and my defense is here. And what do? I actually change it up and hit it over the mallet shot. So now my defense is here, and I go for an over the mallet shot, and forgive the really bad graphic. But again, it no longer is going here. It actually goes over the mallet when my defense is at this point. It actually goes over, it goes to this part of the pole. Okay? So that's why the over the mallet's working. Is because I'm coming back hard for that right wall under, the left wall under, whichever side, right? And that's how those score. So what does the defense need to do? All right? So there's different ways, different thoughts, okay, to do that. One of the thoughts is to pull back hard over here, and then knowing that typically the over the mallet shot is typically slower because you've got to give the defense time to actually get back there. If you hit it too hard and too fast, right? They're coming back, you actually might hit it on the way back, going back for the right one. So if you slow it up enough, you actually give the defense time to move out of the way for the over the mallet shot to go in. So there's two thoughts on blocking that. It's one, it's you come back and then immediately you move over to the right for the over the mallet. So you're actually going to make this kind of maneuver where you come here and then you actually go this direction, right? So the problem with that is you actually create a really bad habit for yourself. And you create that habit, you actually are going to be doing that motion no matter what. And whenever you create that motion, what ends up happening is if somebody comes over here and they don't hit a right wall over, they actually hit a off-speed right wall under. You'll come back, okay, and that puck's going, and it's coming nice and slow, and what does that defender do? It moves right out of the way, and you watch it go right in. And it's a bad habit. So the proper way to actually block that over the mallet is actually to stop right there. So you're stopping like halfway down. You're actually not coming all the way back. You're not, you're stopping kind of halfway there.
So maybe triangle small.
Well, yeah. So it's a smaller type triangle, right? So so you've got two different triangles, like a little bit bigger one for the unders and a little bit smaller one for the uppers, right? So that's kind of your basic defense there, right? Offensive balls, man. Clever motherfuckers. So what do? They say, you know what? Why am I hitting it from the middle of the table every damn time? If I could go right here, right? I now open up this angle right here past that defense, right? So now I have another straight shot. So now I'm going to make this guy have to do what? What's he got to do now? Move over a little bit, right? So if I move over, so here's the problem with this. So I move over, but I move over too much. What does that open up? Cross straight. So here I am. I'm thinking, man, I got this guy. Moved over. And what I did is opened up a lane again. So again, cross straight. Man, this is becoming complex. This is supposed to be simple. I said kiss, right? Did I not say that? Golly, my handwriting's bad. Keep it simple. Okay? Keep it simple. Well, it's my defensive coordinators, from 30 plus years ago. I can't change it to silly. It has to be stupid. That's what he said back then.
Everybody says.
That's right.
Apparently,
So, anyways, again, this is becoming way more complex than it needs to be. All right? But so how do we dummy it down? How do we, not fall for all this stuff, right? Yes, he moves it here, right? He moved it here. Maybe he puts it here. It's the same thing but the opposite side, right? So, what do we do defensively to kind of overcome all that stuff? Well, let's get rid of all that mumbo jumbo right now. Synthetic drawing. Okay. Bigger center line there. So offense moves the puck over here. Okay. They now have a straight shot here, a straight shot here. They have a bank. Oh, that was bad. If you can do that curve, you're going to win a lot of world championships. Okay, so essentially, you've got, this is kind of a basic kind of attack from here. We haven't even talked about left walls, right? This is just your basic cut, cross, right wall under, right wall over. So let's look at the left walls. From here, right? Your left wall over. I can't even hit the left wall over when the drawing board is so bad. So again, very complex. It's not simple, but these are 6 different shots, all coming at the defense, all from this one spot. And this spot can be moved. You can literally take this, puck and move it anywhere on the table. And all those shots, those angles, they'll change. The angles will change, but the shots can be the same. So offensively, right, you want to actually do that kind of stuff to really put the pressure on the defense. Based on where this is at, you're going to have that different 6 array of shot of anybody. If you can do that and move it anywhere, you're going to win a lot of world championships. Okay? So how do you defend all that stuff? You defend it by, number 1, having that strong, good foundation, having a strong, solid level of discipline. And when I talk about discipline, I'm talking about, holding true to your basic fundamentals. It is so easy to, be out there on defense and to be fooled by the different releases, be fooled by the different speeds from a shot. I can't tell you how many times in my life, like I was playing Tim Weissman over here, and he hit that cut straight on me, and I just moved right out of the way. I was his bitch for life. I mean, it was so bad. And he did that to not just me, he did it to everybody. Because it was such a beautiful shot. And it's because if you don't do that, when you stay out there, here comes that blistering right wall under that you was so well known, right? So this is the truth, this is the reality of what you face in air hockey. And I wasn't able to overcome that until I gained the proper discipline, the proper perspective. And that discipline is saying, you know what? So I was here. My green, sorry. I was here, but now I'm just going to move over just a little bit, but be far enough out where I still can take off a little bit of that cross straight, take away this cut straight, and be ready to go back only when I see that puck go that direction. Otherwise, I don't move. I stay there for the straight. I say, you know what? I'm going to commit to not letting straight shots go in, and you sell out almost. And it's not to the point where, you know what? I'm never going to block a bank. It's not that at all. It's you're focused on the puck. You're not focused on that release. If you're going to watch that release, man, you're going to get fooled every time. You're going to get in a world of trouble when it comes to playing defense. If you're looking at the speed of the shot, the only things you need to really look at: where is the puck being hit from? Okay, where is it being hit from? That's what matters. Because this is what makes me either be in the middle or over to the side a little bit, right? Moving my defense just a little bit. And let me show y'all something. When I'm playing defense, and I move over from here to here, now my angles change in going back for the banks. So no longer is it this and this. It's now this and this. It's more of a straight coming back. Right, for the banks, because if you end up with the same angle, you're going to be over here blocking here. And you're blocking here, you're blocking a golf ball. All right? And you're talking about getting pulled really bad for a love ball over. You're over here, and that love ball over goes in, you look really bad. Right? So again, it's just having that discipline and actually just sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting for that bank. You know, what you can see, and what will never lie to you is the puck. The puck's not going to lie to you. The speed of the shot, the speed of the release, all that's going to fool you. It's designed to do that. That's why they do it. That's why we all do it. Well, we have to learn that. But if you just focus on the puck and only the puck, you're not going to get fooled. You might get beat for an under, but you should never get beat for a straight. Right? So again, here I am, and I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to force this person to hit nothing but unders. So this is where the whole, right, the mindset and this is where the Jedi mind tricks come into play. Okay? And the strategy. If my opponent knows I'm not going to let them hit a straight shot, like the entire freaking match, like I am taking that away, what does that do to their offense? It limits them. Yeah, it limits them. So they're limited now. So they're like, oh crap. So they got to try to figure out, this is where the stubbornness comes in. You know, they got to figure out now how to open that up. And the defense is like, nope, sorry. So it's like a question of, all right, so I'm going to have to pound in a hard right wonder. So you're going to force them to do that. But when you know that's what they have to hit to score, you now have the advantage. Right? So it's just a mindset. So you're sitting there and you're not letting those straights go in no matter what. They can do all this fancy stuff and you know, hit you with forehand straights, you know, beautiful release cut straights, cross straights, anything you want. You know, off speed, blistering fast. Doesn't matter. It's the exact same thing. If you look at the position of the puck and if you just focus on where the direction, the initial direction that the puck is going. That's the key. If you can see that, you're going to win a lot of games in this sport. Lots of matches. So, and again, it's all the defense. So again, you've got to have that discipline. You've got to understand where you are on the table at all times. Understand that, you know, if I'm here in the middle and the puck's over here, I'm not in the right position. Right? Why am I not in the right position? If I'm here and the puck is here, well, they got that straight shot right there. You want to know why Jose Mora killed us in 1998? Right there. That shot right there. That shot right there. So he basically was bringing the puck right about here and hitting straight down the pipe. Like up the pipe kind of early, going to the cross straight side, but it's really a power straight, that's all it is. It's just the way he did it, we hadn't seen it. Or if we had seen it, I didn't see it, right? A lot of people haven't seen it, at least not at that level. So it's understanding those kind of things and understanding how to combat them, understanding how to defend them. Questions? Anybody? It's kind of basic stuff, but man, we can get into some real complex stuff. But yes, sir.
I never thought of it in that sense now, so it's now like when I'm looking at the table, it's like a huge, like I said, geometry figure. If you can look at where it's from, you can basically guess where it's coming.
No reason to guess.
What you should know.
So again, look, you're dictating to them what they got to do, right? You got to have that mindset. Like, if I'm letting the offense dictate to me, like they are going to tear me up. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to be tough. You have to dictate to them what they can shoot on you, right? And I'm not saying, look, you may have it where I'm going to allow nothing but right wall overs to go in because this guy can't hit it over to save his life. So I'm going to come hard for the banks, the unders, versus somebody who can hit nothing but overs. This guy can hit nothing but overs, but he struggles hitting an under. So So this is where the scouting report comes in, right? So you understand the limitations of each player, right? Like, I'm playing somebody who I've never seen him hit a left wall from way over here. The impossible shot, you could get some likes to hit from way over here, right? So if you've never seen that from somebody, this is where they can kind of cheat a little bit, right? So I'm not expecting that shot, but I'm expecting maybe that up the pipe kind of, early cross straight, up the pipe power straight, really what it is. So, but yes, you've got to dictate to the offense what they do. So this is how you stay in control of the match. And throughout the match, it evolves a little bit, and you get a feel for it. You have to learn how to use that to your advantage and drive that throughout a match. So the other thing too, and this is kind of like, there's only one person that does this currently defensively. And I actually thought of a name for it today. Colin is the one who does this. So if you watch Colin, he's way out here, playing defense way out. He's the only one who actually will attack the rails too. So why does he attack the rails? He attacks the rails for the same reason that you stay out here for the straights. He takes away both the under and the over by basically being at this intersecting point. So you see, like, there's a point here, up here, whether it's a straight shot, that your mount will take away both the cut and the cross. And there's a point here on the bank that'll be the same. And I thought of the name for it, Tim, and I think it's intersecting defense.
Intersectional.
Yes. Intersectional defense or intersecting defense. One of the two. Not sexual, but intersecting. But basically, you are. So one thing that Colin loves to do is he likes to stay out far. It's so hard to get by his defense. And I remember having this conversation with him when he was asking me about defense. He was coming up. And I remember even telling him back then, I said, the next, I even told him, I said, like, the next step, is to be out further on the banks. There's no reason to ever come back, to be quite honest, if you can do it. But you got to be super quick. Well, damn it, that guy's super quick. And he freaking did it. I never did that. I never got to that level to be able to be out here for them. Okay? But to me, that's kind of where it's at. It's about the positioning of the puck, and it's going to be a straight or a bank. And if you're only looking at those two things, you can take away all the shots. Because, being here, being over here, or in the middle, because if they hit from the middle, you still got to be able to defend from the middle, right? Based on where they're hitting from. It's just finding those sweet spots on the table, right? So the sweet spots that an offensive player uses and the sweet spots defensively. You have to find those spots, and it'll change a little bit for every single player. So you have to be able to change your spots based on who you're playing. So again, it kind of talks to you. It shows a little bit of like chemistry things, right? So like certain players, for whatever reason, just adds other players' numbers, right? Like Owen Ronaldo never lost to Jimmy Hynes, not one time. Ever. And Owen was an amazing player. Jimmy was a badass too. And you guys see Jimmy. Jimmy's nothing what he once was. I can promise you that. But Owen owned that boy. And Jimmy was, you can ask Jimmy about it. There was a couple times, I know one particular time, Jimmy was up on like 6-1, 7th game. Just need one more point. But Owen, for whatever reason, fought back and ended up winning that match. So I think Jimmy missed the puck.
He whipped.
Yeah, he whipped. Yeah, it was this epic type thing. But a lot of that is they understand these sweet spots. And their sweet spots just work really bad against somebody else's sweet spots. And I think this is my theory of why that kind of works. Just naturally for some better than others. You know that? It's the same thing. It's just got society. So here's the thing, right? So we didn't even talk about like grit or how you should stand and all that kind of stuff. We're going to go do that here in a second. But that's kind of where, there is a little bit of difference when you're doing the football because your arm is different, right? This is the simple motion, right? You can't do that, right? Right-handed at least. Left-handed, easier, right? Versus the right wall, blocking the right wall, right? So there is a little bit of difference when you have to move your body just because of the built that. Now, on here it's the same. You just want that position of the puck and mallet, or the position of the mallet to be the same. That's what's important, right? So again, it's, and I talked about this a long time ago playing Marcos. This is probably the famous quote, don't be a bitch, right? So the quote was to get him to try to stay out, right? So Marcos was struggling, he was pulling back. Every time I'd come up and I just do this motion, he would immediately come back. And all I'm doing is this, right? Just, here it comes, and he would just pull back, right? And talk to him for a good hour about building up that discipline. And for whatever reason, I just don't be a bitch. Stop being a bitch. You pull it back, you're my bitch when you do it. Because all I'm doing is just doing this. You just open up the lanes by pulling back. All you gotta do is stay there. That's it. If you just stay there, you're no longer the bitch. You're on top of it. And it's having that discipline. And when I talk about good, sound, disciplined defense, that's really what it's about. It's about knowing those lanes, understanding those lanes, being in the right spot, and having the discipline and the strong foundation to create those, kind of muscle memories where you automatically do it. This doesn't happen overnight. None of you guys are going to leave here and play world-class defense the second you leave here. You got to work at it. You got to actually implement these foundations into your own game, okay? And you create those muscle memories so that when you are exhausted, and it's freaking Saturday night at 11 p.m., you've been playing all day long, you've been waiting around, you've been talking, and you know what, your mind is just toast. Your muscle memory kicks in, and you play good. Because this is what you created those rituals in your brain to do exactly that. And it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice.
I'm going to ask on defense. You're talking about shot being able, one side of the table to the other side of the table. As it pertains to defense, right? We've got habits, but somebody can charge this, right? But the thing is that are you tracking the puck in any way? Because if you're shooting from one side, you're expecting a triangle. The tracking. So if you look at Worlds, I was talking with Samuel, right? He said that he looks at, he may not always move the mallet too much, right? But that he tries to center himself at the center of the puck, wherever it is on the table. If you're just slightly kind of, whether it's eyesight or a little bit with his mallet,
Yep.
the center. Okay, so I guess that's what I'm calling tracking.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you're referring to, and I guarantee you'll agree with me. Christine and I have talked many times about defense. He's a great defensive player. Is it's making those small little adjustments. So he's gauging himself. So when he's talking about tracking or something along those lines, he has someplace on that table. It's kind of his base, and then everything's kind of off that. So he's going to gauge it. By either go like 3 hairs to the left or 3, table holes to the left or something along those lines. Owen used to count like 15 or 16, holes. You got little holes, the air blows through the table. And that's where he knew the spot was. I never did that. I just had a feel. I just felt like it was comfortable and that's where it was. And it may change based on who I'm playing and what they try to do. But again, you have to figure out your gauge, right? Figure out where you're comfortable being out, how far you're comfortable being out. But again, Don't get to the point where you feel like you have to charge everything. You get to that point, who has you? The offense has you. Because for you to block something, I feel like you have to charge in order to do it. And if you're committing out, you're just leaving open anything. It doesn't have to be an accurate thing. You know, if you do it this way, right, I'm taking away the straights, and you have to hit an absolutely perfect thing for it to score. If it doesn't, then I get the puck. And so you do that not once, but you have to do it 7 times before I score. Right?
So when you attribute, I guess, your time, your success to, like, how much of that do you attribute to you being reactionary and you being disciplined, right? In terms of, right?
I was way more reactionary in 1995 versus 2001. I had really great, my reaction time was up there with anybody. If you look at that, it wasn't until I developed discipline and a proper foundation defensively and actually understood this before I actually started to compete, which really, like Tim and I were talking, it was probably 98 when I really was able to compete at the top levels. You know, wasn't quite ready, but you know, I was able to actually make these guys say, okay, I got to actually work to beat this guy. Before that, like that.
Something you might think about, I think, is looking at it from the perspective of percentages. Okay, what I would encourage you to do is like a challenge match that you play. Go back and rewatch it. And every time you charge, take note of what the results of that encounter was. Was it a positive result? Did you get the puck? Or was it a negative result? Was it you got scored on or they got the puck? Just do that. And I think that you'll find it's so clear that it's not a good percentage play that you'll decide you're going to eliminate it. But you have to see it and make it and actually do the math. And you'll be like, oh my God, I'm just giving away possessions.
So,
Oh,
yeah, but
For the defense, do you think there is a difference when you're holding the Mallet a little softer versus
Yes.
harder for reaction time?
yes, so bring that question up here a little bit when we get to the table. Okay, but we'll talk about stance, you know, and actually where you actually want to move to block these shots in relationship to the goal. So to go back to a little bit here with Sammy, I'm a firm believer there's no absolute true one way to play, right? So what I'm speaking from is a lot of experience, Tim's speaking from a lot of experience. When we're talking about like defense and not charging, we certainly don't recommend it. However, there may be times to do that, okay?
Like your kids. I see the video with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like strategic, right? So strategy. So I will explain the other concept. You know, this is more of a Jose Mora type defense that, again, can be extremely effective. And I'll explain to you exactly why it actually got, you know, beat up pretty good too. I'll explain why. So certain players, like Tammy, for example, really would tear through this defense. But I'll explain to you why and how it does work and the concept behind it. So if you ever watch Jose play defense, right? So Jose's kind of against the goal, right? Maybe offset just a little bit, kind of like this, just sitting there maybe. So Jose's defense would actually charge the offensive player. So if an offense would come up and be here and hit straight or go cross, he's actually charging. He's actually charging that. Okay, to try to disrupt the defense. And then he would also, if it was going to be a make, right, either under or over, again, charging that. And he would kind of do like an arc kind of charge to take away both the under and the over. Okay? He would do this, and then if it was a left wall, he basically stays still and don't move, or try to, which would, would kill him with his butt all over. But he would kind of just stay there and he would kind of be focused. So this can be effective. It worked for him. I mean, he won 3 world championships. There are certain players that really took advantage of this. It wasn't until I actually studied how that was done is how I started getting with it as well. But when you do this, his biggest problem is lack of discipline in actually charging those shots. So a good, well-placed straight, because again, it's so hard to react against the straight shots. I will. The amount of time you have to react to a straight shot is less than when you have to react to a paint. Only purely because of the distance. Okay, it's so short of a time. It's not even funny. But if you sit there and hold the release, you're going to force him to go one way or another every single time. And Tim was the one who basically his offense naturally just did this very badly. So it's surprising more people didn't actually implement that against him. But like I said, Jose's played this better than anybody else. He just used it against Colin, and Jose hadn't played in 30 years almost, or not 30 years, 20 years.
Yeah. So it's effective unless you understand the glaring weakness in it.
Right.
And if you do, and you know how to exploit it, then it becomes really, really, really ineffective defense.
Correct, exactly. So again, I'll point out different ways to play defense, and you got to pick out what's best for you. But I'll say this, what's worked for me has worked for him. It's worked for Jacob Weissman. It's worked. Jacob Munoz, Colin has been doing it. Like I said, he's just doing that intersecting defense, which is the next evolution, the next step. So Noah, that's something for you to try to achieve, not for somebody like myself. But you guys that learn and master this stuff. But again, that's the next step. I'm telling you, because you're taking away literally everything, and the under/over is kind of a minute point. Because you're taking away both those shots in one exact spot based on where that puck is at. And again, it's all about that initial motion, straight to going to bank. So that's the only information you need to know. So 2 things. Keep it simple.
Would you consider the intersecting defense starting from a high point? When is the intersecting defense become a charge towards the ball?
Well, it kind of is a charge for the ball. I mean, it's so hard to see it though. So it depends on where. If he's way up here and he's going down a little bit, that's where he's hitting that spot, then it's not a charge, right? But if he's further back and he comes up, then it is a charge. It's moving towards the other side. So it's hard to catch that from a referee standpoint. But if you look at the history of the sport, I mean, I think we call a lot of things charges. I think more so back in the day than we do now. I think back in the day, maybe people weren't used to. It was obvious, when there was going to be a charge versus trying to meet an intersecting point or something along those lines. If that makes sense. So I think that people are a little more hesitant to call something charges. We are further out. To most players these days are further out. What I think the past has shown. And it's evolved.
And I think what you said though about Colin is super important is that he has unnatural speed.
Yeah,
reaction,
he does.
And so you have a little more leeway if you're super fast to be able to be in what I would consider out of position. And that you have all these things that are open, but if you're super fast,
Yeah. Super fast. I mean, he knows you're going to bank it. He actually can move his mallet. Even if he was back here, move his mallet here, and actually stop moving his mallet forward by the time the puck gets there. So along those lines, actually, so it might not be a charge. That's ridiculously hard for a referee to catch or even to battle.
That was the same thing I thought the fact that, whenever, intersecting defense, I was, I wrote watching it, and I was like, that's why I started to charge you more serious. I was like, how fast can I get? I was like, how fast can I see this spot before it took you tore up, right?
Yeah.
And so, but also what I realized is that even if you are, it's a difference between going forward, right? And the difference between the side of the mallet geometry would pull the.
So Colin's going
He's,
more
it's
to the
just
side.
triangle is just more like this.
Yeah.
He's catching off the angle.
Wider triangle.
Yeah.
As opposed to us, we're going like this, he's going like this.
Because I noticed that even on the deflection of the
Right.
parallel.
Yeah, he's still moving to the side or back a lot.
Yes, yeah, he is. Yeah, and you think that, yeah, that's just simple to get by that, but it's not.
Yeah.
Again, he's just ridiculously fast and quick. Now, can you sustain that throughout the years? Well, time so far is undefeated.
Yeah.
But it's okay, man. But man, we're gonna enjoy it while he's able to do it, man. And I know he is as well. I mean, again, this.
He's on his 20s, dude.
Yeah, he's still in his 20s, which is crazy. So understand this, right? Colin, even on offense, when you watch him play, may not be like the best example for somebody that's not supernatural to just kind of follow. You want to probably look at somebody that's. I would look at Vince and tell somebody to watch Vince versus Colin, only because it's easier to see what Vince is doing because he takes his time and he's still extremely deceptive with the shots and they're extremely powerful. Colin is so quick and so fast. Colin's doing those same kind of things, but he does it so damn quick. And it's most people miss that. So then they're just rushing things to try to emulate the moves that Colin's doing. They're not seeing the small little things that Colin's actually doing that makes him so effective. But again, it's you can't go wrong in learning from him. That's for sure. You just don't want to try to mimic everything he does on the table. Certain things, absolutely. But like I said, the discipline is where everybody I think should start. And I think what we can do now is go to a table over here, move it to a table, and unless anybody had any other questions on this other side.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so what have we learned so far?
Position. Mallet. Reserve shots.
Yep, position, and basically, if you really break it down, there's two shots. Straights and things, right? So you keep it simple. I mean, yes, we have like 6 shots, and you want to do double banks, which is a ridiculous shot. That would be 7, I guess. But outside of that, it's just what is it? We're talking about releasing, talking about speed of shots. That's what we're talking about. So an offensive player, their job is to fool the defense, get by the defense. Here we go. To get by the defense, right? And to basically make you or help you make errors defensively. Because if you're playing sound defense, you're theoretically you're going to block everything. You may have one that may go off your mount and bounce 5 times around the table and somehow go in or something, or you kind of block it and you barely nick it and it just kind of still goes. You're going to get those. There's a certain amount of margin, within this chaotic game we play. You're going to run into that. But it doesn't mean that you throw everything out the window and start something completely different. It's important that you have faith in your foundation. It's important that you take these little baby steps, these baby adjustments, to get your defense where it needs to be against the opponent you're playing. Because you know what, that opponent you're playing is pretty dang smart too. And they're going to try to come at you with different things, right? They're going to do everything they can to get you off your foundation. And the key again is to have that strong foundation and to have that discipline and just to have that belief in yourself and have that belief that you will be able to block it no matter what. Because we've all seen these amazing shots. But nothing's unblockable. Nothing. Even if you just happen to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time, but it ends up blocking it, and you didn't even know it was coming, it got blocked. So it's blocked, right? If you have a mallet on your side of the goal, on the side of the table, you can block the shot. So you got to have that confidence. You got to have that, within you. So defensively, we're going to start off, right? So now we know the points of kind of where we want to be based on the points of where the offense is going to be shooting from, right? So defensively now, to me, it starts with stance, right? So there's certain things that you want to be consistent whenever you're playing, and number one is stance, right? So Noah, if you want to just give me an example of how we like to stand. This has traditionally kind of been, what's worked for the right-handed players playing defense. So he's playing right now. He's got his right knee up on the table with his left leg back and his right arm, slight bend to it, and basically holding with a relaxed grip. So we hold it with a relaxed grip to try to consume the impact. Because guess what? That guy on the other side, they're hitting it hard, right? They're going to hit the hell out of that puck. And somewhere at University of Houston is where my tooth is, and that'll tell you, where that some people hit it hard. I was a little skinny guy named Adi De Alejandro, love him to death, but he's the one who knocked my tooth out back in '94. But it doesn't take a big, strong guy to do it. We hit the puck hard, and everybody can hit it hard, and you got to be ready for it. But having that stance again is going to help you develop that muscle memory. If you have everything foundationally the same, then where your arm goes will be the same. Where all these little nuances that end up being a very important thing in a big match, big weekend, you're playing your fourth day of air hockey straight because you went there Thursday night, you participated in, the Photon air hockey tournament, and then Friday you did the doubles, and then playing singles all day, Saturday and Sunday, and you're just, your last gasp and your brain is fried. Well, this is where the muscle memory, kicks in. And I can't tell you how important that is. So having that foundation, right, a good stance. So if you notice this stance, he can go backwards or forwards at a given moment. And that's what you got to understand. We're all different here. We all have different body types. So we got to understand, where I'm at, right, with my body, I need to be able to go forward or backwards. And I love relating things to football. So if any of y'all play football, you'll understand this. You play linebacker. I played linebacker. You had to go forward, you had to go backwards. Whatever they wanted to pass. Back when I played, it was all run, but there was a hit, of a pass every now and then. But no, you got to be able to go backwards and forwards because you got to be able to react quickly for the banks, but at the same time, you got to move your entire body out to try to either catch or interfere with the puck. All right. So building up possession time is so key and so important. And it's going to be even more important in the future. You know why it's going to be more important in the future? Because more and more people are going to know how to play defense. And that means it's going to be harder and harder to score on somebody. At the highest levels of this sport, there's going to be rallies, 3-4 minute rallies between players where they're not going to score. And that's because this defense is going to go up and up and up. It's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think it takes a little longer I think they both evolve about the same. So offense will evolve. There will be something else that no one's kind of thought of, a different kind of release, or different kind of attack. And it'll happen, and I look forward to seeing it. But it doesn't mean that the fundamentals go away, from defense. Defense will have to adapt to overcome whatever the offense brings. So again, back to the stance, right knee up against the table, left leg back, on the balls of his feet there, like his tippy toes, where he easily can push his weight forward or back, right? So when your arm is right here on defense, he's properly centered. So you kind of start off where you're centered, but again, if you have somebody that has the puck over here, where does your centering need to be? If I'm right here, yeah, just a little bit, maybe, yeah. So the puck is here. My center actually changes. The puck is here. Center is going to be in center. If it's here, he's right there, right? If I'm over here, right? If I'm over here, I'm probably a timeout. Okay, so just make sure everybody's paying attention. I'll put everybody's sleeping. So yeah, understanding that and keeping up with that positioning of the puck is so key and so important. Okay, and if you're doing that and you're in the right spot and you just stay there, that person can't hit a straight shot ever, ever. I mean, it just can't. It's not going to go through the mountain, right? We don't have a shot that will literally go through that mallet to score. There has been one time where it went over the mallet and scored. Tim did that, and when he had 6-6 shot in 2000, that was nuts. But that was kind of a one in a lifetime thing. If we could do that all the time, Lord Almighty, my defense would be out the door. We'd have to say screw it. Yeah, but listen. Again, it's starting off there, starting off where your position is going to be. So now, get back on your defense. Puck is here. All right, so now I'm going to hit a bank right wall under. How do you block a right wall under? Coming at you. Okay, look where he stopped. Look where he stopped.
I like it.
So, he's not all the way against the goal. Why is that? Well, you don't need to go all the way against the goal. Look, everybody come over here and look at this. Don't move. So, he's not against the goal. Right? There's no reason for him to be against the goal because that puck isn't going to fit through there unless I push him out of the way. Okay? If you're in that position, you're blocking the right wall under. So on defense, again, here's another rule for yourself. And you just put this in your head. If I'm hitting the goal when I'm coming back on defense, I'm not playing correct defense. So these are little things to tell yourself, right, while I'm playing. All right, I got to get back to my discipline, get back to my foundation. These little things, right? So what does that do, though? That little bit of a movement, right? What that does is even if you make an error, right, and you go back to block it under, but it ends up being an over, it makes that over be that much more accurate. Because if I'm here versus here, the angle of the over the mountain shot has to be absolutely perfect in order to go in versus, if he's here, I got a lot more room for error. Look at that. That right there is going in the middle of the goal. Defense, you got to make, if they're going to score on you, because, this is rock, paper, scissors. They will score eventually. Somebody's going to score. You got to make them hit the perfect shot to score. If they do it, hats off to them, right? Now do it 7 times. That's the mindset, that's the attitude, and it's like, I'm going to hit 7 perfect shots before you do. And you literally have that mindset and that focus, that mentality. If you have that mentality, then you'll win a lot of games. You'll win a lot of matches. You'll win some world championships. I guarantee you. So, now let's show how you block it over. So here I am again, setting up, hitting it over. Where do you go? Okay, yep, right there. So again, he stopped there. He didn't stop, more that way. But he didn't stop, back here or something along those lines. Now, again, next level air hockey, right? You can take away both by being further out here, right? So you're over here and you're actually going here, right? So it's kind of that, again, that's that intersecting defense. So far, like I said, Colin's one person that is doing that consistently. What else?
Call that a rail charge?
I'm sorry?
Do you call that a rail charge if you need to,
Depends on how far up you are at your peak.
if you meet the top right at the rail?
If you're against the goal initially and then you meet it there, yes, that would be a charge. If you're up here and you go and meet it there, now you're just going like that, but that's actually not a charge. Sideways. Or you're actually coming at an arc to the left. That makes sense?
So, is there anything that you do physically to remind yourself to not slam? You know, the mallet back on the go. I remember when I first started, when I saw people, they would say that, I'm like, well, how do you get yourself to do it, right? And so I would use the back of my palm and would get bruised. And it was pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I wouldn't see anybody else complain about it. So I'm like, well, you know, what am I doing? Right? So I was like, is it just muscle memory at that point that you would, account for that, or is there something, that you would physically do to kind of remind yourself of that distance? Is it just kind of reactionary, learn?
Look, it's again, starting off, it's a lot of practice. And to kind of remind yourself to be in a certain spot or something along those lines, I think you just have to be very conscious of it. And you should just have this mindset, like, you know what? If I ever get a straight shot scored on me, I should be so pissed at myself. Hats off to my opponent. Awesome. Good for them. But I should be very pissed off at myself and know that I completely was either fooled or made a mistake mentally, just wasn't paying attention like I should have been. Because there's that split second, that you can see when they're striking that puck, it's going to be a straight bank. And it doesn't matter where the bank's going at that point. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters except straighter bank. There is a point, that split second point. It's going to be a straighter bank. And don't read the release to figure that out.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
So I have a physical thing that I've always done, and I try to show the boys to deal with exactly what you're talking about. Is it okay? I have to show?
No, absolutely, please.
Real quick. So you're going like this all the time, right? Going like this.
I never did that aggressive.
But see how your arm is, okay? Now, what I would do is I would pull my arm slightly in, so that when I'm pulling back, my arm is just being blocked by my body. So you just physically can't get all the way back. So it's a mechanical thing that has helped. I don't know if it might help.
Yeah. So again, everybody's body's a little different, right? So you gotta learn your body. The other thing too, like if you feel like these banks are all of a sudden now people are figuring out, taking away all the straights and others, hitting banks on the left and right. Number one, don't panic. In order to progress and get to the highest parts, or the highest levels of this game, a lot of us have to take a few steps back to go forward. And this is a big thing, because everybody here has created habits, whether they're good or bad, right? In just the amount of time that you've played. And you've got to, you can walk away from this and say, you know what, this guy's full of shit, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's playing stuff when they have black and white TV, that's when it's good. It's, everybody can believe that kind of stuff and understand it, but these things, like I said, they've been proven over time. The current players, the top players, they're doing this. I promise you that. I've worked with every one of them for the most part. Tails worked with every one of them. It's these are we gladly love passing all this information along, because I grew up just you want to. So, and Tim can agree with me on this. Like, I don't miss winning the world championships as much as I miss being able to play at that level. That level was so beautiful. It was just like, I always call it high quality H2O, and it was just such an amazing feel, like to literally be able to do anything and everything you want on the table at any given moment, and like you were just. You could see everything on the table. It was just almost in slow motion.
There was nothing too fast, nothing too. I mean, the way you can manipulate the puck, it was just a beautiful thing. And I miss that. Miss that tremendously. And we want that for all of you guys, right? Whether that comes with a million wins like it has for Colin, or it just comes with being able to actually compete with somebody like him and actually go back and forth with these exchanges on the table. That's a freaking awesome feeling. And I really wish I could just put that on a platter and sell it to everybody, because it's a beautiful thing. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of hard work to get it. The fact that it does take so much hard work, I think you appreciate it a whole lot more. And I know we miss it. And like I said, I hope everybody here can get that piece of it. Okay, so back to the defense. Sammy, did that answer your question though for you?
Oh, yeah.
Concerning that, yeah. So yes, your balance is good, right? We got balance. We got your centering. We're blocking. We're pulling back to the proper spaces. We're not over pulling and coming all the way back to the goal. We don't have to. We're making sure we move one direction or another, based on the position of the puck over here, right? And the other thing is too, just the big, one of the biggest things, you gotta just relax, right? Relax. Have a relaxed grip on defense. It's so quick and so easy, man. It's a big moment. The winner of this is gonna have a chance to finish top 10 in the sport. Oh my God. No, don't freaking get all 10s. Relax your arm. Be ready to move in any direction, but the wrist is good and relaxed. It's going to help consume that impact to help give you a greater chance of consuming that force that they're going to be hitting with and actually retain that possession. Because it's about possession time, right? Building up possession time. If you build up enough possession time, eventually you're going to break through your opponent's defense.
That's a good question, because you say to be relaxed when you're on defense. Is it like, would you say it's loose, or would you say it's just not tense? I think those are two different things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't say loose, I'd say not tense.
Okay, just not tense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, it was always not tense because, and Tim could probably tell y'all, like when I first got to the sport, even though I wasn't effective, I was very intense. Like I just because I grew up playing all the other sports, football and everything else, and to me that was how you compete. You gotta, and air hockey is intense, but at the same time it's control intensity, and those are the things you kind of have to understand. And the best analogy I can come up with to give to people is like, how I learned that in football was, when the whistle blew and the ball was snapped, it was like you're trying to kill people. It was nuts. I mean, you're literally trying to take somebody's head off. And I know that's all bad. Nobody talks about that now. But that's how it was back then. You wanted to freaking knock somebody's head off, and you were trying to get a snuff up with it. Or you hit somebody and the snuff comes out the back of their throat and hits you in the face. And that was like a moment of pride. This is what we did. Anyways. But right after that play's done, you immediately are focused on the job. You're immediately focused on, you're controlling like the next play, right? You're talking about how you're going to set up, how you're going to defend yourself. So that control you can never lose. If you lose that control, you're opening up a door for your opponent, right? And there's no difference here. If you start focusing on things that you can't control, I can't tell you times people don't want to change. To me, the mallet doesn't matter, the puck doesn't matter. None of that crap matters to me. It's like, I don't care what side I start on. Those are things that mean nothing. To me, I'm just like, it's just about, where the puck is and how and what's that initial direction. That's all I want to focus on. And all this other stuff, the antics, or you want to complain about a call or something, whatever, let's just give it a complaint. Give it a puck, that's fine, let's go. And it was always my mindset. And I think that if you have that kind of perception, kind of focus, it'll help you in the long run, because you don't let the little things get to you, I mean, and I'm not saying I've been innocent where I've never let that, of course I have. I've played and I've gotten pissed off about something that has nothing to do with anybody in the whole room, you know, and you just make a fool of yourself when you do that. And I've done it. Been there, done that. It's not things that you're proud of. It's, you know, what you can be proud of is how you come back the next time and you show better, right? You do better. But yes, so a relaxed grip, not a firm, strong grip, relaxed grip, but still, like, in other words, if somebody hits your mallet, it's not going to just go flying because you're not barely touching it, right? It's not that way, but you're going to consume a lot of the impact, and then you can try to catch it, right? So again, the next thing is trying to catch these pucks, right? Practice, practice, practice. And all this stuff is so much practice to do that. And, you know, again, a lot of that starts with your balance, right? So if I'm properly balanced and I block a shot, now my body is throwing myself forward. My legs are going to start throwing my body forward. If my body's going forward, it's a whole lot easier for my arm to go out there. Versus if I'm still going back, my arm ain't going to go very far out, right, to try to catch up the puck. So, you know, so again, building up those kind of muscle memories that you know, you automatically know, hey, after the shot, then go out and catch it. So it's kind of like different phases of it, right? And keep in mind that just because they shoot a shot, right? So it banks. Like, I don't want everybody to get this habit. Like, the second they shoot it, my body's going forward, and my arm's going back. You're kind of now you're hurting your own self, because if your body's going forward and your arm's going back, you're actually moving. You're making it more difficult for your arm to get back, right? For a bank. So keep that in mind. And the other thing is too, that's how the double banks work with people, right? So if somebody hits a double bank, well, that first bank, and somebody has that habit of going forward and trying to catch it, well, the second bank's just now happening, and it goes in. Pete's over there laughing because he's all excited. He loves hitting the double.
I'm working on the triple.
Oh. Maybe to help this child. Anyways. So yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, look, there are other instances, you know, like, again, you may want to charge, but it's a rare thing, and it's a strategic thing, and it's got to be something that they're not expecting. You know, I've gone years without charging, and then all of a sudden I charge, and I may charge multiple times in that same game. They'll be like, "What the hell?" You know, because it catches them off guard. Because number one, if you're playing proper defense, there's no need for it, right? And there's been two times that I've charged come to mind that I felt the need and just felt like I needed to do it, and had success. One of those was in 2003. 2003, Ehab Shukri won the World Championship, and he and I played a challenge match. And it was the first set. It was match point or set point either way in the first set. And I charged it and scored to take that set, and ended up winning that challenge match 4-1. Ehab was playing ridiculously lights out at that time. His offense was crisp, very, very, you know, people say boring, but very disciplined offense, where he would just set it up very consistently and hit good, hard, crisp shots. So he was very difficult to defend, to maintain that level of defense. And his defense was ridiculously off the charts at that point in time. You talk about not being able to score straight. You know, he was the example of that. And my goal every set was just to get one straight shot. If that tells you anything. And if I did that, I know I would have it. That's how it was. And so there was that, and it worked, you know. And then I guess I did it in the Carter Cup.
That's what I remember.
So I think a lot of people remember that one. That was on our current world champion, Colin Cummings. So again, just felt like, you know, he was owning not just me, but everybody that entire day with that shot. And I think in that format, it just was perfect to do it. So I knew it was coming. And yeah, that's the only reason I did it. And it worked, and thank God I got him off the table, because he would have scored only if it had not. Because I can't keep up with the puck. He is so damn fast these days. Anyways, but outside of that, like I said, it's creating that foundation for you guys. It's building from it. And there's nothing that says that you guys can't take this stuff to the next level and do something that I'm not even thinking of, or any of us are thinking. There's nothing saying that you guys can do that. We want to see that. I would love to see it. I want to learn from you guys, right? But this has worked for a very long time. It's something that has evolved throughout the years, and there's a reason that it's effective. There's a reason that it works. And again, just don't be a victim when you're on defense, right? You actually need to be the one that dictates what the offense can do, right? Stop being a victim. Victim gets on there and they're just like, oh my God, they're going to get this. I don't know what I'm going to block. Nah. You get up there and say, I know what I'm going to block. Let's see if they're going to figure it out, right? And force them to hit something else. And it may be somebody that, that for whatever reason they struggle hitting a right wall under. So I'm going to block everything else but the right wall under, or maybe they can't hit a cut straight. Not many people cannot hit a cut straight. Most people can. But maybe they can. Well, I'm just going to sit on the cross, right? So it's just having that kind of mindset, and you want to force them to hit something that they're not as good at hitting. So know your opponents, understand what they're capable of. There's a lot of players these days that can hit pretty much every shot, but can they do it consistently, right? That's the question, right? So can they do it consistently? Can they do it from all over the table, right? You understand that. See, when you're looking at somebody playing on offense, I can look, pretty quickly tell you if they really, really know what they're doing on offense or not. And I can tell you because they'll hit all the shots, but they'll hit them all from different spots on the table. Like, I'm going to hit my right wall overs, but they're always in the right quadrant, right around here. Or my right wall under is always going to be from further back on the table, or further on the left, along those lines. So players, they develop those muscle memories, and those actually work against you, right? You've got to develop your offense, and this is a whole other seminar, but you got to develop your offense where you're hitting every shot from a certain location and make them all look the same, and then change up the spots and be able to do the exact same thing again. And then not just all the shots, but different releases for the exact same shots, different speeds for the exact same shots, different speeds of releases, different speeds of the shot itself. All that makes a difference. And it's all about trying to fool the defense, right? So again, keep defense simple, keep it stupid, right? That's all it is. Keep it simple, stupid. All right, guys, that's all I have. Anything else?